It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much for your patience while I figured out the lights. But let's go ahead and extend our legs nice and long. Reach your hands back. Hold on to the chair, and you can switch it up. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. Just watch. Do your elbows always pop out to the side? Can you hug them in a little? And notice when you hug your elbows in, do you tend to squeeze your shoulder blades in? For today, let's relax our shoulder blades and just hug our elbows in a little bit, and then rotate our thigh bones here and try to have nice straight legs. I've been away for a week, so it's really nice to be back and to be moving with you. Breathing here. Nice long legs. Notice if your shoulders are clenching up by your ears. Keep trying to relax them down. All right, and then with straight legs, if you have to scoot yourself back a little bit, do. And two palms and elbow pits facing forward. We'll take one arm back as one arm goes up, and one arm forward as one arm goes back. And just keep switching. Notice as you go back, does your elbow want to turn out to the side? Wrap it in a little bit so your elbow pit still stays forward. And also notice as you reach your arm into the air, do your ribs facilitate that lift of your rib cage? And try to relax your ribs down and back so it's more pure shoulder motion. It might mean that your arm doesn't go as high, but that's okay. So it's just very common in our culture that we are taught that lifting our ribs up and pulling our shoulders back is good posture, but lifting our ribs up all the time impacts our core strength and our ability to breathe well, and so many other of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say the processes of our body, but the actions, the natural actions of our body. If we're like that consistently, it impacts our ability for things to move well. So maybe your range of motion of your shoulder will be a little bit less, but just try to keep your ribs relaxed down and back. And of course, reach your arms into the air more often is very, very helpful at continuing to keep your range of motion. Okay, let's go to two arms. So elbow pits forward. You can relax your thumbs forward or keep your palms forward, and arms swing back and arms go forward and up. So it's very common that people only reach up into the air here and there to get things off of a high shelf, to do certain chores around the house. And when they've lost the mobility of their shoulders, what happens is their arms only go up so much, and to get up the rest of the way, they lift and push their rib cage forward. And that's not a bad motion in itself. We want to have all of those motions, but it's not so good if you can't get your arms up without bending at the spine. And so keeping your ribs relaxed down and back helps you really work on shoulder motion. And when I first started doing this and really keeping my ribs down and back, keep in mind I was a big rib thruster. This is about how high my arms went on their own. So my shoulder motion has greatly improved since practicing with my ribs relaxed down and back. And that's good for my shoulders and my neck and my arms. So keep practicing even if it seems like you're doing less. All right, next time your arms go up, turn your palms to face forward and flip your wrist down and flip your wrist back. So the palms of the hands go to the ceiling. Flex and extend, and flex and extend, and flex and extend. Now let's flex and hold. If your arms need a rest, give them a rest. Point. Try to touch as many of your toes and the ball of the foot down. Actively flex your ankle. Point the opposite. Actively flex. Point and flex. Point, flex. Two more each side. Tuning into your breath. Now's a good time to give your arms a rest. And then from here, we'll go back up into the air, and we'll extend our wrists. Palm of the hands go to the ceiling, thumbs spread out to the sides a little bit. And now we'll twist. Inner arches go away. Outer edge of the foot goes away. And take your time. Go nice and slow. Notice if your knees roll around a lot, can you keep your knees steady and just twist the lower legs and the ankles a little bit side to side? Breathing here. All right, and then relax your arms down. You can hold onto your chair to slide your legs nice and wide. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. And then from here, we'll circle our arms up and down by our sides. So one of the most challenging things about group classes and why individual sessions are so helpful is that we all have imbalances in our body of areas we use too little and areas we use too much. And in a group class, I'm giving generalizations about like what a lot of people do in our culture, what I see all the time, what's common because of the habits we share as a culture. But people have different imbalances. And so, for instance, you can just stay here and keep circling your arms up and down. But some people, when they walk, always lean with the inner edge of their foot forward and sometimes the outer edge of their foot. And so you might need more of one motion and less of the other. We all want to do all of the motions in our body, but excessively doing a certain motion can create issues over time in the same way that underusing certain motions can create issues in the same way. So that's where alignment comes in, and just starting to be aware of your body and the way you sit and the way you stand and the way you move more often is just so helpful, and you will start to figure out the puzzle pieces on your own. Okay, next time your hands are in the air, palms face forward, let's do like a wrist dance, side to side with the wrist. And you might notice there's kind of like a twist of your hands too. You can also try to do less twist and just more subtle side to side. And then let's pause and do arms side to side, kind of like you're at your favorite music artist. You're doing a little wave with your arms here. Breathing. And go slow and feel how your biceps, how the front of your arms and the sides of your arms and the backs of your arms feel in these different positions. And then let's center ourselves and let's go side to side with the rib cage. Now it's common here that people will just keep with the arms. Try to keep your arms steady and bend your rib cage side to side, your ribs, your waist. Tuning into your breath here, opening up through the palms of your hands and your fingers a little bit. Smooth inhales and exhales. All right, come back to center, release your hands down. Hold onto the chair, maybe mix up the height, elbows hug in. Notice as you do this, does your head tend to come forward? Slide your ears back over your shoulders a little bit. And then we're gonna do 2 steps. Our legs are nice and wide. Right foot steps in 1 and 2, as far over towards the left as it will go. And it will depend on how close it gets, is dependent on how wide your legs are. And back wide. And left foot goes over 1 and 2, and out and out. Try to keep the legs really straight, landing on the back of the heel. Step in 1, 2, open 1, 2. Step in 1, 2, open 1, 2. If you start sliding off the chair, wiggle yourself back. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Elbows in. 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. Let's do one more each side. 1 and 2. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And then bend both of your knees, turning your toes forward, inner thighs open, tilt your pelvis upright. So we often do arm rotations, internal and external. Pay attention more to your shoulder. That will help you. Shoulders go forward, internal. Shoulders roll open, external. But now try to do opposite. Internal on the right, external on the left. And if you pay more attention to your shoulders than your hands, it's helpful for your brain, because a lot of times our hands will almost feel like they're doing the same thing. Relaxing any excessive clenching around the neck and the shoulders, breathing here. I think we could turn this into a pretty cool dance move. All right, let's pause, one internal, one external, and flip your wrist. And then how about holding our wrist in flexion? So for one hand that's up, for one hand that's down, the internal it's down, the external it's up, and keeping your arms in flexion and going in opposite directions with your shoulders. All right, go back to arms out to the side. Let's circle them up and down one time. And then we'll go internal on the left, external on the right. Breathing here. All right, hold and flip your wrist. Okay, now stay in extension where fingers pull back towards your forearms. One arm's internal, one arm's external, and rotate here. Breathing, take your time. Pay attention to the action of the shoulders. Smooth inhales and exhales, and then relax your arms. Okay, we're gonna do these neck motions from a lunge, but I wanna show you first. So, right ear, tip straight over to right shoulder. Slowly go down and around the front of your chest until you get to your left ear over to your left shoulder. And then when your left ear's over there, you're just gonna bring your head straight up and start to the right shoulder. Okay, and then when we switch sides, we'll start with the opposite side. So just keep going over to the right at first. The next movement, do it with me, is dropping your chin all the way down to your chest, or you can also just do your chin in towards your throat. Breathing, and then slide your head back like you're ramping your head, and lift your chin up into the air any amount, and to deepen the pull on the front of your throat. You can even push your bottom lip forward, or you can do your whole bottom jaw, slide it forward. And breathing through your nose, and then slowly lower down. So don't be in a rush, like take a moment to feel the motions. Let's spin around into a lunge. So lunge to the right, slide your knee back underneath your hip, ankle behind your knee. You can be on top of the foot or toes tucked under, either one, spinning to face the direction you are. And then we'll take the arm that's by your side, hanging down by your thigh, and turn the palm away from you. Not internal, shoulder forward, external, shoulder back a little bit, and hold that rotation. Now drop. If it's your left arm to your side, drop your left ear to your left shoulder and circle your chin down and around, checking that the ribs are down all the way over to your other shoulder, and bring your head up. An ear goes over towards your left shoulder and circle down and around, nice and slow, and head comes up, and do that a couple more times. Keep rotating that arm bone into external rotation. All right, so now arm bone is rotating, so elbow pit and hand face away from you. Drop your chin down to the center of the chest. Feel your ribs drop down. Slide your head back, ramp. Lift the chin up and maybe push the bottom lip or jaw forward. And then slowly bring your head all the way back down. Ramp it back. Keep some of that action as you lift your chin and jaw goes forward. And do that a couple more times at your own pace. Letting the breath flow in and out your nostrils. And then relax and slide your foot forward, spin around to the other side. Knee back under the hip. This time, if you turn to the left, it's your right arm hanging. Rotate your elbow pit and your palm away from you. So this is one way to tell is if you're internally rotated, it's your bony elbow that will be pointing out. External is your elbow pit will be turning out. And then from here, ribs drop down. Start with your ear going to your outside shoulder away from the chair and circle down and around. Pause when your left ear gets over to your left shoulder, bring your head up and right ear tips over and circle down and around, and just at your own pace 2 or 3 more times. All right, let's drop our chin in or down to our chest and ramp our head back. Ribs stay down and back. Lift our chin up any amount. Maybe press our bottom jaw forward. And take your head back down. And do that a few more times. Keep the breath flowing. And then relax your arms, slide your knee forward, go around to the other side, slide your knee back. Now just staying in this lunge is excellent if this ankle motion isn't happening for you. Top of the foot to toes tuck under, press back through the heel. Notice if this is happening as you switch, and try to keep your thigh bone back a little bit more as you go from one to the next. And the next time the top of your foot is down, slightly lean your upper body back. Your head doesn't have to lean back. Your chin can stay down. Your ribs stay down. Breathing here, you might feel this along the front of the thigh, the inner thigh, the front of the hip area. Relaxing, clenching around the buttocks muscles if possible. And then come up and tuck your toes under, back your thigh bone up, and same thing. If you're feeling pulling down in your knee, don't lean back so much. Relaxing any excessive clenching. All right, slide that foot forward, spin around to the other side, slide your knee back under your hip, and we'll flip the ankle. From top of the foot, try to feel more parts of the top of the foot, to toes tuck under. Try to feel more toes in the ball of your foot as you press your heel back and go back and forth between the two. All right, let's stay top of the foot. Hinge back a little bit. And sometimes when you do things, like many moves throughout the class, you'll come into it and you'll be there and you'll do this every once in a while when you're doing classes. And then all of a sudden one day, more muscle starts to wake up and you'll actually start to feel pulling in your knee, and then you won't go so far. So it's not like, oh, if I don't feel pulling in my knee, I'm fine and I can just keep going further back and further back. It's a moment to moment, day by day awareness of your body, because things are going to keep waking up and you're going to keep being more aware of it. So that's why it's good to start out slow and be consistent. All right, bring your torso up, tuck your toes under, and hinge back any amount there. And one side might be different from the other, depending on how we sit and stand and walk. So if this class was about anything, I'd say it's about just body awareness. Alignment is a tool to help us be more aware of our bodies. It's not that we always need to move in a certain way. It's that we want to be aware of how we're moving, and alignment gives us a baseline, which is really just really cool. And then bring yourself up and slide that leg forward, spin back around. So you can use your block here with your ankles hip distance apart. You can put it inside your left foot and do your right foot. I actually did this earlier today with my ankle over my knee, so I'm gonna do the block, but feel free if you wanna do your ankle over your knee, fold forward a little bit. You might have to scoot your bottom foot a little forward or a little back. You'll see in a moment when you start moving. As you hinge forward, lift up off your bottom foot heel, and then lift your toes up. And instead of just going heel up, heel down, toes up, try to feel like your foot is rolling. Like see if you can get a rolling or a rocking motion in your foot, which is easier to do if you have just bare feet or socks on as opposed to shoes, because a lot of shoes are stiff and they prevent the rolling motion of the foot, which is why over time, as you exercise your feet, you want to start moving to shoes that allow more mobility. All right, let's switch sides. So ankle over your knee or ankle on a block any height, hinge forward. If you need to scoot your foot, bottom foot forward or back a little bit, and then find that rolling action where toes come up and then heel comes up, or rocking action. And when, it's very subtle, but as I do this foot, I can tell this foot doesn't have as much mobility. Or it could be my calf muscles. All right, come on up, uncross, walk your feet wide for just a moment. So this neck motion is just a simple turning to the right. Do it with me, and turning to the left. Okay, so going back to individual awareness. When sometimes, if you want to look for this one, when people turn their neck to the side, they keep their chin tucked down all the time. It's probably the least common, and it's probably one that's good to add in for most people. Sometimes you can really keep your chin parallel to the floor. And sorry if mine's not exactly parallel, I can't see. And then sometimes people lift their chin up slightly and the chin kind of leads in front of the face. And that's probably the most common. Or you may turn it parallel, and then as you try to turn more, the chin starts to go up because you don't have as much range of motion to keep it parallel. So you want to notice what you do so you can vary it. Because they're all good motions, but if you have a habit of always being here when you're on the computer or driving or eating, you're always jutting your chin out to, when you're eating, then this range of motion excessively could cause neck issues over time. Whereas it's not a bad range of motion, it's just that we use it excessively. So spin around to a lunge, slide your knee back underneath your hip. And then from here, we're gonna have our arm hanging by our side, and we're gonna pull back and reach forward and up, but you're gonna turn and look over the back of the chair and hold, and just right away notice, oh yeah, my chin leads, or my chin is down, or my chin is parallel, and move it a little bit and swing your outside arm back and forth without looking at it. Okay, now next time your arm is up in the air, hold, ribs down, and turn your head side to side. And notice where your neck wants to turn. Does your chin want to lead? I know for me, my chin definitely wants to lead, so I'm turning it down just a little bit. And letting your breath flow. And then bring your head back to center, relax that arm, and spin around to the other side. Knee slides back under the hip. You can do top of the foot or toes tucked under. Wherever you are, activate your feet, activate your front feet, activate your back feet. If you're in a position that your feet can't hit the floor, try to scoot yourself so you can have your feet stability on the floor. This is the arm motion that we're going to do. And then turn and look over the back of your chair and continue. Is your chin up? Is your chin down? Is your chin parallel? Breathing here. Okay, next time your arm is up in the air, hold and start to turn your neck side to side. Ribs drop down and back. That's the major player when it comes to neck issues, is where do you hold your rib cage? All right, bring your head to center, relax that arm, slide your knee forward, spin around to the other side. And this time we'll do a quad stretch. So maybe wrap your strap around your ankle, pull your thigh bone back, and then try to keep your thigh bone back as you lift up any amount. Notice, do you tend to lean forward or back? Straighten your torso out. Does your head tend to lean forward or back? Bring your head back a little. Keep drawing your thigh bone back. Listen to your knee as to where you lift. And then from here, how about a little rotation? In and out. And go slow so you can feel how it maybe changes the pull on the muscle. And does your knee feel okay in all of these ranges of motion? And if you find a particular angle that you'd like to stay at, feel free to do that. And let's switch sides. Spin around to the other side. Slide your ankle back. Front foot steady on the floor. Lifting up anywhere from a little to a lot. Are you leaning back? Are you leaning forward? Is your head jotting forward or back? Slide the thigh bone back. And how about a little rotation here? And if you want to stay at a particular angle, feel free to do so. All right, release. Place the strap out of the way, spin back around to the front of the chair, walk your feet nice and wide, and circle around your thighs. Feeling into your hips, breathing. Pause wherever you are and circle in the other direction. So we're going to use, if you have socks on and they're slippery, you might want to remove them. But we're going to use the muscles that you use to get up from the ground, but we're going to use them from a lot higher position. So spin around to your right. Make sure your front foot is steady and stable. Your back toes are tucked under here. And then you're going to try to keep your pelvis tucking under a little, pubic bone forward, as you use your feet to maybe lift your hips up a little and lower them down. Now, listen, don't strain to do this too much. The first step would be to just push your feet down, and your hips never come up off the chair, but you might see my hips as I push down, there's like this little lift. And if you're not getting that little lift by pushing your front foot and your back foot down evenly, then just stay there and work on that. Work on building, some strength by pushing down through your feet and seeing if you can get your hips to lift up and down a little bit. But if that's happening easily, you can also use your hand a little bit on the chair to push down and use your hand to stabilize you and come back down. But if you're not using these muscles very often, you want to really ease into this because you don't want to strain your knee. You want to use your feet and you want to feel almost like your hips are coming in towards each other to lift you slightly off the chair and straight up and down. All right, slide that back leg forward, spin around to the other side. I am going to take my socks off because I do have a little bit more gripping motion with my feet rather than with my socks. And then make sure your front foot is steady, straight. torso straight up and down. First, just start with the pushing action of the feet. Sliding the knee back under the hips. And if you're just like, this is not easy, like to push myself up, I have to lean way forward, or I have to bring my leg way forward, then the action of pushing your hips up off the chair is just not happening yet. And it's much better to just be in a lunge more often and engage your feet and see how that lifts your hips up and engages your thighs and engages your hips and your buttocks muscles. But if you're feeling pretty good about this, push down to lift up a little, pubic bone forward and lower down. And you can use the chair at first. Over time, the chair's, your hand's very light on the chair. And breathing here. A little bit up and down, and a little bit up and down. So just be here in your lunge. Breathe. If you're just like, there's no way, that's not happening at all, I'm straining, my breath is straining, being in the lunge by itself more often is truly how you get to that place. Being in this range of motion and just being here and breathing and holding for a minute or eventually holding for 2 minutes. Slow adaptation is what your body loves best. So never think that you're not doing anything by just being here in a lunge. This is doing a lot for your hips, your feet, your thighs. All right, slide that foot forward, spin back around to the front of the chair. Let's walk our legs into a wide V shape again and just bend your right knee and then hinge forward here. And come up and switch. Bend the left knee, extend the right leg out to the side and hinge forward here. Good, and come on up and walk your feet into hip distance apart. Outer edges of the feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance. More because we're watching what our natural habit is. Is it to tuck back? Is it to turn out? Is it to be close in? Is it to be wider? And press down to come up and come around to the back of the chair. And from the back of the chair, walk back 2 straight arms and 2 straight legs. Outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance, relax the belly, let the tailbone tilt up into the air. Breathing here, checking neutral alignment of your feet, your ankles hip distance apart. You can work on the rotation of your thigh bones. You can check if your kneecaps can lift up and down. Can your leg straighten just like a tiny bit more? All right, and come on up to stand. And then with ankles closer to hip distance apart, push down through the left hip. It tends to pop out, hug in a little as you bend your right heel in towards your buttocks. And we'll take our time going side to side and really paying attention to the standing leg. And you might be able to see what happens when you come onto one leg. At first, it's just being here, but does your weight drift forward? Do you start clenching your toes, back your weight up into your heels? Does your standing leg hip really want to sink out to the side? Press down to hug it in. So, interestingly, like what makes something easier sometimes makes it harder on the body. One of the reasons you can keep going side to side is that people like to stand in one side or stand forward. For lack of a better word, it's kind of like a lazy position because you're holding yourself using like your connective tissues rather than muscle. And when you get your weight back, you start to use more muscle. When you get your hips even, you start to use more muscle, which takes more work. And being in those lazier standing positions are not a big deal. They're natural. It's human nature if your body's moving throughout the day, like really moving. I'm not talking about modern ideas of moving all the time. I'm talking about before we had all our modern conveniences. Think about people used to have to wash and dry their clothes without a washer and dryer. You had to walk places instead of driving there. You didn't have garage door openers. You didn't have leaf blowers. Like all of these modern conveniences make us actually move all the different parts of our bodies less. And so it's a big deal that when we're standing lazy all the time, when we're not using our bodies all day long in different ways. Let's grab whatever you're going to use for a calf stretch. Edges of feet straight, put the ball of your right foot up, your heel down, your left foot can step forward or back any amount. First, let's do a twist of the shoulders. So right shoulder goes forward, left shoulder goes back, and kind of across the body. Ribs stay fairly still, hips stay still, legs straight. Okay, now let's do the rib cage. Can you turn your waist and your rib cage without your hips going? And for some people, when I ask them to do a calf stretch with a twist, they automatically go here to their hips. And by the way, I want you to do your hips now. Turn your hips to one side and turn your hips to the other side. And one reason you might go to the hips, like your body goes to wherever it moves most easily, one reason is because maybe your waist doesn't have a lot of range of motion. But if you're always used to moving at your upper body, then maybe it's your hips that you need to focus on, which is also really nice for hitting different areas across your calf muscles. All right, let's switch feet. Ball of the foot up, heel down. And from here, let's do the shoulders first. Twist of the shoulders. And let's do the rib cage, just the upper body, the waist and the rib cage. And let's do the hips. And go slow at first so you can feel, is that twisting okay for my knee? And you might discover, oh, when I really twist this way, my knee wants to bend, or I feel a little tweakiness that I feel sometimes in that area. And it might be that you never do that range of motion, but it also might be that you excessively do that range of motion all the time. All right, let's switch to foot turned out to the side. Foot turned out, foot steps forward or back, hips square, and dynamic side bend, side to side. All right, stay with your right arm up and over. Tap, extend and reach. Tap, extend and reach. Reaching long, a little forward, a little back. Forward a little, back a little. It's not a big motion. Now next time you're a little in the forward position, rotate. Elbow down, elbow up. Rotation from the shoulder joint. Still in a side bend. And bring that arm down and switch. Foot turns out to the side, stepping your outside foot forward or back. Whoops, my foot wasn't out to the side. And side bends. So just be open, be curious about your body, left arm forward, tap and extend. Like when I'm doing side, all I can really speak to is myself in this moment, but when I'm doing side bends, so you can just pause in your side bend when I'm doing this, so all of a sudden I would start to feel some cracking. And when I drop my ribs down and back, that cracking goes away. Now, cracking is not always like, it's not like, oh, that's a bad thing, but I know I've been a long-term rib thruster. And so by relaxing my ribs down and back, all of a sudden I'm giving certain areas of my body more space, and then it moves more easily. All right, ribs relax down and back with your left arm up and over, a little forward, a little back. You could do the same thing with your neck position. If you get cracking or popping, check the position of your neck. And now rotate your upper arm bone. All right, pull yourself up. Last foot position, turned in slightly. Stepping the outside foot forward or back. And arms out to the side, palms face down, thumbs in, chest height. Pull the arms straight out to the sides. And in and straight out. Nice straight legs. Feel the thighs reach down towards the heel. And maybe step that outside foot forward or back. Hips square, palms face forward. Tap in and open. All right, and let's switch. Foot turned in, hips square, and let's go palms face up. If your arms are up here every time, relax them down a little bit. And now, so from here, bring your hands together. You can step your outside foot forward or back a little. Try to touch the backs of your hands and then try to keep that rotation like you're trying to turn the backs of the hands forward. This is the hardest one to do. All right, and relax, and you can step off of there and slide that out of the way. And with feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, sit back into your chair pose. As you get your feet straight and your knees over your ankles, start to notice, do you tuck your pelvis under? Try to untuck. If you untuck quite well, watch if you thrust your ribs. You can curl your ribs back, maintaining the little neutral curve in your waist area, and press up and step your feet a little wider. And sit back, checking on that tuck of the pelvis and the tilt of the rib cage. Press up, walk a step wider, sitting back and pressing up and walking a step wider. And someone who tucks under a lot will really have to work on that, but someone who gets that untuck really well has to work on the rib thrust. And press up. Okay, your feet are nice and wide. Turn your toes slightly out to the side. Bend down nice and slowly. Press up through the center of the heels, nice and slow. Next time you go down nice and slow, do a little shift side to side. See how everything's feeling? And if you're feeling okay, not just right now today, but in general, if you're not having knee issues, ankle issues, then how about a little faster? But if you're having issues in this area right now, more motion more often, but go slower. Maybe hips go down a little bit lower. If you're someone who your hips drop down easily, for you, slow becomes important, so that you're not just using, hanging out in your connective tissues like we talked about earlier. All right, from here, feet turn in, sit back. So another thing you can pay attention to of the tilt of your pelvis and your hips is, do you always drop down? Try to just squat with your lower body a little more. Walk your feet in a step. And walk your feet in about the width of the chair. And walk your feet in hip distance apart. All right, from here, face the chair. And whichever hip is by the chair, step that foot way forward and your other foot way back. So I'm going to put my chair here to my side. Whichever foot is closest to your chair, or sideways to your chair, that foot is forward, the other foot's back. Scoot it back far so much that maybe your heel touches, but maybe even comes up off the floor. Square your hips the direction you're facing. Try to straighten both of your legs and then take your outside arm up and over into a side bend towards the chair. And then bring that arm down and twist just your upper body towards the chair. Maybe your hand reaches. Turning from the waist, turning from the rib cage. Hips stay facing the direction you're facing. Notice if you're leaning towards the chair, is your torso leaning? Is your head leaning? Unwind, steady your feet. You can just do the outside arm, or you can do both arms and rotate your arm bones in the air. Still nice straight legs. You could see how much holding onto the chair a little bit helps. Okay, so arms come down. So before we were doing from down up, lifting into a lunge. Now we're trying to really scoot our foot back, tuck our pelvis under, and bend our knees a little bit towards the floor and come up. Some things to check on is your foot, back foot twisted. Try to keep it centered. Is your front knee going way past your ankle? Maybe spread your feet a little wider or don't go so low. But you don't want to feel this in your knees. I've done this where I haven't done this movement in a while and I go really low. And then the next day I'm like, oh, my knee doesn't feel great. My body recovered quickly, but it's just showing that it wasn't ready for that much range of motion when I hadn't done it in a while. So ease into it. And then you can go like a tiny bit lower and press back up. But listen to your joints. Listen to your ankles, your feet, your knees. Breathing here. Good, and then push off that back foot to step it up and turn around. Whichever foot is closest to the chair is forward. The other foot wiggles back a lot. 2 straight legs, square your hips. Outside arm goes up and over into a side bend towards the chair. Check the position of your rib cage. Check the position of your head. Check straightening the legs more. And then bring that arm down and twist your upper body towards the chair. For me on this side, this back knee really wants to bend, so I'm just trying to work on straightening it more. For some people, it's the front knee that really wants to bend. All right, steady your feet, and you can just lift the one arm up and rotate, or you can do both arms and rotate. And then from there, arms come down. Now you might want to scoot that back foot farther a little bit. Pubic bone tucks under a little as the knees bend. Torso straight up and down. Center the ball of the back foot. If you want to go low really slowly. Because if you drop down low quick, that's when your body's like, hey, what are you doing? And things start to lock up. And if you don't have the control to go down slowly, then that's also telling you something. Oh, I need to, do less. All right, push off that back foot to step your foot up. I'm just going to turn my chair back around. You can just be wherever you are. And from here, you can have your chair to hold on to. Push down through the left hip, hug it in, bend your right knee. And how about a little forward and back with that knee? So for me, my foot stays pretty straight. My hip hugs in pretty well, working on it. I still need to work on more neutral rotation of my thigh bone when I'm on one leg. My hip stays back over my heel. I had to work by a wall for quite a while with that. So you can use your chair to push back, but you're just working on one thing at a time. I'm not working on my thigh bone rotation today. But what I am working on is after you work on your lower body a bit, I'm working on my ribs. I still like to thrust my ribs here even when I'm balancing on one leg. So I'm dropping my ribs down and back. And then if I wanted to work more on my thigh bone rotation, feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, I could have a little bit of stability by the wall, and that gives me a little bit of resistance. So I can work on that neutral thigh bone rotation a little bit more. All right, let's go back to the first leg, whichever one you did first, and let's do a rotation here. And switch. All right, and lower the foot down, and from there, come to the back of the chair and walk back. 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs, backing your hips up, neutral rotation of the thigh bones. Breathing, can the legs straighten a little more without force? When you straighten, think less of pushing back and think more of reaching down from buttocks to your heels. Walk up to the chair, sit back into a chair pose, cross your right ankle over your left knee and sit your hips back. Notice if your hips pop over to the left, slide it back so your hips more in line with your knee. Letting that right thigh drop open. You can check on the tilt of the pelvis. You can check on the thrust of the rib cage. And switch sides. Check on after you get the sliding back and the hips to one side, check on the tilt of the pelvis and the thrusting of the rib cage. And you might just work on one or the other for quite a while. All right, and go ahead and release. So we're going to grab our ball, and we're going to do a little ball rolling. So it's funny because someone asked me about this, and I was like, no, not really, but now I've been moving around a lot. I was away, I was on a cruise, really cool. We went, we went on a cruise through the Panama Canal. But as I've been moving, and I did a class earlier this morning, I feel like everything's moving. So it definitely makes for more interesting. Okay, ball side to side under the ball of your foot. But if you'd like to, you can sit down. Most of the time we do this sitting down, but since we're towards the end of class, depending on how your legs are feeling, if you want to try it standing up, feel free to do that. From big toe to pinky toe side of the foot. All right, now go up and right at the front of your heel, put the ball there, put the front of your foot down, and roll side to side across the front of your heel. So everything in your body is about loads and forces and, overloading areas, underloading areas. And like this area that we're rolling on right now, it's common that when people have like plantar fasciitis, they feel pain or discomfort in this area. And it comes from somewhere in the chain of the body, from the bottom of the foot, up the back of the leg, even up the leg into the hip, is being consistently overloaded or underloaded. And then what happens is the weakest link, which is often that connective tissue right in that area, takes the work that's not happening in the other areas. So it's like this puzzle of figuring out, what do I need to work on? What area is not participating? And most of the time, so a lot of times we do 3 stripes. We do the inner edge, the center, and the outer edge of the foot. Today we're just going to do 2. So kind of inner middle and outer middle, 2 stripes of the foot. It's figuring out where in the chain, like let's say you were experiencing plantar fasciitis, you could start by rolling a ball under your foot every day for a week and seeing how that feels. Doing calf stretches, seeing how that helps it feel. Stretching more up higher up the back of the leg, because it could be anywhere in the chain something is not letting go or participating, and then you're getting excessive load in an area that perhaps doesn't have as much support in it. So it's just like, and then go to that outer middle stripe of your foot. It's just you're figuring out this puzzle for your body, and the more that you participate in these classes and learn alignments, it helps you put the puzzle pieces together. Like one thing that I've talked about often is exercising your feet and transitioning to a more minimalist style shoe with less heel, that's connected fully to your foot, that is not stiff, that has mobility. Go ahead and switch feet and roll side to side below your toes. And one thing that often people will notice happening is their foot will get wider, because as your bones of your feet spread out and you start using more muscles, you need shoes that allow your feet to move around in them. Well, I have several pairs of shoes that are wider, and I have shoes that I originally transitioned to that are not as wide. And one day I tried to, or I should say I only on the cruise, I only did the stairs. I didn't take the elevator, so I was proud of myself for that. I noticed I had this like in my outer knee going up and down the stairs. And because I'm paying attention to my body for so many years, and the next day I didn't feel it at all, of course right away I was like, what is that? Are my knees collapsing in? Or, how am I walking up and down the stairs? So for me, it's an interesting, fun puzzle, which is a nice thing to have your body be a fun puzzle when it's in discomfort. And the next day I put on my wide shoes and I didn't have that issue again. So I just wanted to try it out, and I put on the narrow shoes, and sure enough, I felt that pressure in the side of my knee. So just by having shoes that are a little too tight, that kind of squeeze my feet in a little bit, it puts pressure on my knees. So that's just another piece of the puzzle that shows you how important wearing shoes that fit you well, that your feet can move around in, is so important. And hopefully you moved up to the front of the heel. I think I said that. Let's do the vertical stripe now, the inner vertical stripe. And just to give you some examples, a couple examples of feet as I've been exercising my feet, and I don't think it's like this across the board, but I used to be an 8.5 all the time, and I started always buying 9s once I really started exercising my feet. The last pair of tennis shoes I bought was a 10. I mean, that's a big difference in my feet and having space to move my toes around, and my body and my joints feeling really good. And my fiance, his feet, he was wearing, I think, a 10.5. And then he started asking me because he was having some knee issues, and we're working from different angles. And then one of them I said is shoes. And it turns out that he wears like a size 13 or 14 in shoes. So he was wearing shoes that were that much smaller, because we're used to, I just remember like when we had roller skates, if you didn't move to the outer stripe, do that. When we had roller skates when I was little, you'd want them like nice and snug, and you tie them around your ankles, and you felt like that was more supportive. And I think that carries into what people think shoes are supposed to be like. But once your feet are healthy, you want space in your shoes. You want room in your shoes so everything can move around. Okay, let's have a seat in the chair and walk our legs nice and wide. And there was a study done at some point, I forget, I read it, and it showed that 80%, it was for women, 80% of women were wearing shoes that were too small for their feet. And after my personal experience with myself and just people I know, I believe that now. So just something to think about, not that you have to go run out and get all new shoes, but as you exercise your feet and your body becomes healthier, you might notice that you need more space to move your feet in. Or if you're experiencing ankle problems or knee problems, a lot of things start with the feet. And if you didn't switch sides, go the other way. I'm so fascinated by our bodies, and I feel lucky because it's a good thing to be fascinated about, because it's something that we need to be on our side for a long time. It's perhaps the only thing is with you your entire life. All right, and let's stretch our legs long and hinge forward from our hips here. But the first step is just moving more. Come on up and reach your arms up and reach your arms out and stretch your legs long and breathe throughout the day. But for now, let's sit back in our chair and let our gaze soften or our eyes gently close and become very present with our bodies, with our breath. Staying present with your body and with your breath. Smooth inhales and exhales, just being present with your body, with your breath. Be an artist of consciousness. Your picture of reality is your most important creation. Make it powerfully, profoundly beautiful. So I was looking for another quote, but I came across that one. And the other quote is connected to it. It was something along the lines of how the first step to any change is to just change your mind and the way you think about things. And that is saying the same thing. It's make this profound, beautiful change in yourself by starting with your consciousness, by starting with your mind. And just remember that that is such a big piece of the puzzle. Even if you're not doing something, even if you're not drinking enough water and you're not eating enough vegetables and you're not going outside enough, if you just set your mind to, I am drinking water, I am eating vegetables, and you keep telling yourself that without judging yourself for not doing it, your pattern of consciousness will eventually change your actions. And some things you have to be very patient with and very persistent with them. Some things you'll change in weeks, some things in months, some things will take years. One story of mine is really, earlier today I said 6 years, but I think it's even longer than that. I have been saying that I want to drink more water every year for my New Year's resolution. Year after year after year, I think about it, and I don't drink enough water. And I've been going through this for years, years and years and years, and I just never gave up. And this last year, I bought this glass water bottle that's big and it has measurements lines on it. And for some reason with this water bottle, I have been able to stick to drinking at least, I feel like, a baseline of water every day for a while now. And I can feel the difference in my body, And this took years for me to stick with this. So I hope that it maybe doesn't take you that long, but depending on what it is, who knows? But keep working with your mind, patiently, persistently, bringing your hands together to heart center, coming up if you're still folding forward, in gratitude for this day, in gratitude that we can enjoy the journey of just thinking about things differently before we even get to the place where we're taking action. Namaste.